I'm going to talk about how to install the Victron Venus OS onto a Raspberry Pi 4 with a 5-inch screen and get the touch screen working. I've been working on this for a very long time and I finally cracked it. So I'll go through the whole process. There's other ones out there that you can have a look at and they'll explain how to do it. I'm going to do it on a Linux computer, which is Ubuntu, and some of it might be similar to what you'd do on Windows. There's lots of other things out there on Windows, and if you've been having a crack at this, you'll probably already know how to install it on Windows. But here we go. So you go to the Victron website. I'll put all the details of how I did this with instructions for you to get a hold of. I just went to the last version of it, so it's quite a list of versions. It starts right up here as 2022, and then you scroll all the way down and it comes to 2025, the 1st and the 28th of January it is, and it's version 3.54. so you download that and then it's in your downloads folder, and on this computer the easiest way for me to do it is right mouse click on that and open with, and I'm going to write the image to a disk, so I go disk image writer. It comes up here, it gives me the thing and it asks the destination, and I select my SD card, and then you do start restoring, and I'll do that and I'll come back. That's done, and so I'll get out of that. I'll just start recording my screen, and then you get the details that you have to paste into the config.txt. So after you've burnt the image onto your SD card, you'll have two folders, a boot one and a root one. So you go to the boot, you open that, you open the config.txt, and you paste this stuff here into the bottom of it. Now this stuff here, as part of my exploration, I found is what is in the end of the config file when you do the actual Raspberry Pi OS install. So you install just a normal Raspberry Pi and get the touchscreen working by putting in the drivers and all that sort of stuff for it. This is what you get, but that's not how I discovered, but I discovered that's what it is in the end. So I've been on the right path for a while, but finally it all came together, and the trick is that you have to put the lcd-show folder into another file. So after you've burnt the install, the image onto the SD card, you'll only have two drives. I'll just save that and close it, and the files are this boot one and a root. When I'm saying file, I mean partition. So they're a partition on the drive. If I open up that disk again, I can show you. Where is it? Okay, so the partitions on this drive are just there's a free space, there's boot, there's free space, and then there's a root partition, and then there's this huge free space at the end. So what you do now is you eject all of that, close all your folders, and eject the SD card, and it's out. You put it into, I'll just stop this screen for now. Righto. So you put the SD card into the Raspberry Pi, you fire up the Raspberry Pi, and it'll go through its thing. Yep, that looks good. So you'll actually have all the screen fitting properly. If you didn't put that information from there into that config, the screen would be all crazy. So that was my first success a couple of years ago almost. It was getting this part working, and getting the touchscreen has been quite a challenge. Alright, so I guess it's going to take a bit. I might just edit this out. Okay, now I've got this, can you see that? That's come up, and I think that's everything done. So then what you do is, I don't know, you could shut it down properly, but I just unplug it, power's off, grab the SD card out, put it back in your computer, and now we've got 4 drives. So we've got boot, root, and these other two 42 gigabyte, 43 gigabyte. I think it's the 43, yes, it's the 43 gigabyte. Don't know what it'll be on yours, but if you go to the wrong one, it's just empty. There's nothing there. I'll start my screen doing its thing again. Recording the screen so I can paste those into the video. Okay, so we don't want that one. We want the one that has all these config, db, etc, home, log, all the normal Linux type files, and you open home, and then you open root, and then you grab, oh, this is the other thing, you've got to have downloaded the LCD show, and I'll leave you links to the website for that. Yep, I'll show you how to do that. So where are we? So it's GitHub, good TFT /LCD-show, and you go to this green button, which I'll probably give you a better view of in the video edit. You click on that and you download the zip, and then you go back to your downloads folder. You'll have a zip of it, you'll extract that, and then you'll have this separate LCD show file, and you copy that, and you go back to your SD card file where it's home/root, and you paste it there, and I could not paste it. Okay, let's try something. I'm going to eject the SD card. Oh, that's right, you can't paste it because it's all protected. So you have to do some other trickery. So I go back to that partition again, the 43 gigabyte. Okay, now what I do is I click in the address bar up the top here. I'm still recording, that's good, and it shows me the path to this folder on the directory. Oh, hang on, I'll go home, root, click on that, and then I'll copy all that. Okay. So then you do a sudo cp space -r space all those directories to where your LCD show folder is, and then you paste the path to that root folder, because that's where you want to put the LCD show folder. You copy that into terminal, or you do it however Windows does it. I don't know how Windows does it. And with Ubuntu, if you're this good, you probably know this already. You press Control-Shift-V to paste. I think you can right mouse click as well. Yes, you can. Okay, and then you press enter. It asks you for the password. You can't see my keyboard, that's good. And it's done. So if I go back to that 43 gigabyte home root folder, there's LCD show. All good. I'm just going to... Alright, so after putting the LCD show into the SD card in the right folder, you eject the boot. It's all good. Eject the SD is what I should have said. You put the SD back into the Raspberry Pi. You power up the Raspberry Pi. And it'll go through its thing. You need to plug in an Ethernet cable that's connected to your computer. Then you'll need to make sure you have an Ethernet connection that will talk with it. So you go into your wired connection editor and you create a shared connection. So to do that, I'll start recording this screen. You open the network settings, wired connection, wired settings. You create a new one and name it shared, or whatever you want to call it. You select the IPv tab. So I'm just going to the one that I've already created. IPv4 tab, you select that. You choose shared to other computers, and then you click apply, and you're done. And then you open up a browser, you connect to venus.local, and you get your screen. I love this bit. That's so easy on this. It's a really good way to be able to connect to it. On your screen you bring up the menu, you select settings, you go to general, and then you're already highlighted on the access level. Click on it if you want to. Oh, go back, don't do that. While you're just pasted in, clicked on, got that highlighted, that access level, you go over to your arrow buttons and you press and hold the right arrow, and then this user and installer changes to super user, and then you put in a password. You have to click on it twice. I just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for now. I'm not going to tell you what I'd use in the real world. And click the tick button. So that's done. Then just below that set root password, you've got SSH on LAN, and you turn that on. It takes 2 clicks. You've got to click into it and then select it. Right. So then you can go back and you can set the date and time, and you also need to scroll down using the down arrow to Ethernet. Click into that and take note of your IP address. Every time I do this, it's 10.42.0.112 every time. So there is someone saying it could be another one, but I've never seen it anything else. Alright. Then go back to your settings page, general, and reboot. It's going to give me a warning because I've done this before. So just ahead of time, I won't bother showing you what happens. I know I have to tell this to get rid of that known hosts. Ubuntu is very good at protecting you, and it tells me that it thinks someone's doing something wrong. Warning, remote host identification has changed, and it thinks someone's doing something sneaky. So in terminal I have to tell it to forget that one, and it tells me it found it on line 4 in that folder. So all the other contents are retained, and now it's happy again. So what then you do is, if you haven't done this process before, you won't have that problem. But then you have to remote log into the Raspberry Pi, and to do that you do SSH root at the IP address. You put that into terminal, log in. For me, it asks me, are you sure you want to do this? And you can't just type Y, you've got to type YES or yes. And then it's passed me through to the root at 10.42.0.112, and I've got to put in the password, which was 123456. And I'm in. It says I'm now logged in as root at Raspberry Pi 4. And we continue the fun. So, a simple command, ls, will show you that the LCD show is in the correct folder. So we're good to go. Now we need to install the calibrate. So we do all these things are in there. Is OPG update. So this just updates the repository for all of the programs you can install on your Venus OS. That's done. Then you install the program you want, tslib-calibrate. I guess TS stands for touchscreen. It's going through all that process. And that's finished. So let's pretend I've just done the OPG. Install ts lib-calibrate, and I've done a reboot, and then I log back in. Let's see if it works this time. I forgot to actually then tell it to do ts_calibrate. And that's when it comes up with it on the screen. Well, that was easy. So it's come up with this on the screen. I don't know if you can see that. And it's got the little crosshairs there. And you tap on that crosshair, and then it goes across to here. Just chase it around the screen. And one in the center. And we're done with that. Okay. Then we remove the headless. So I've recorded that screen as it did it. I think it took samples. And then we reboot. No, hang on a sec. Go headless. Remove the headless. Remove the headless. So then we reboot. Fingers crossed. I love it. I love it every time that happens. I spent so long trying to get that. So then you have all your thing and you just hit the pages. You've got your pages, or you can use your finger and you select which page you want. I think there's all sorts of stuff you can do with this after that, but that gives you your touch screen and I'm so happy.